welcome to another amazing episode of the Action Podcast. And with me today, I have, of course, my brother Pete Dog Escarcega.
Of course.
I have my longtime buddy Jake Fenske.
What's up?
We used to be producers together at an animation company back in the day. And then I have my old college roommate, former co-football player with me, and also my boss at one point, Peter Busch. Welcome,
boss.
It's like as many nicknames as Apollo Creed.
I know.
Yeah, you're the master of disaster.
Well, welcome everybody. Today, of course, we're going to be reviewing the classic Rocky IV. And some people are wondering, hey guys, why didn't you do Rocky I first? Because Rocky IV is great, and we skip it. Rocky IV is probably our prime in terms of viewing, VHS. And then also, like, it's been on every single syndicated channel 25,000 times. So we probably combined watched this over 5,000 times. Pete Escarcega, Pete Dog, why don't you start with your experience watching Rocky IV? What are your memories?
Well, I mean, the anticipation of this movie coming out was right up there with Karate Kid 3. You know what I mean? When, you're so excited when you find out there's another Rocky coming out, because this movie is we talk about in all of these classic podcasts that we do about how important movies are in our sort of upbringing and with our family. And but I don't know, Rocky IV holds a special place in my heart for a myriad of reasons. It was something that we just continuously watched over and over and over again. And if we weren't watching the movie, we were listening to the soundtrack on a road trip or something. Like it was a constant in our lives. And this one especially was really important for me because it was something that I really related to my older brother with, not the other Rockies, but this Rocky specifically. Yeah. And there was just something about this movie and the music and the quotes that actually brought us together, even though we drifted. And then it would just bring us together every time, because you would just need to drop a line or you would need to act out a certain scene or something like that. And so, yeah. And, I always think about my older brother. Whenever I think about Rocky IV, he wanted to be Sylvester Stallone in the worst kind of way. And he wanted to be Rocky in Rocky IV in the worst kind of way. It's a special movie to me, but it's also great. It's over the top. It's crazy. It extends a very wonderful story. And it keeps it strong. Things kind of hit a wall after this, but then they kind of get back into the groove with Creed. But this was a huge movie, and it was special.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Fenske, talk about your experiences with it.
Yeah, so this movie, one of the most entertaining movies of all time, and Pete mentioned it, one of the best soundtracks of all time. I mean, you just listen, you don't have to, I mean, you should watch the movie, but the soundtrack is just as good or better than the movie.
People want to talk about like, oh, I want to work out to like 8 Mile and stuff like that. No, you work out to Rocky IV.
Yeah,
I still work out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I don't work out.
So yeah, this movie has a special place in my heart because I used to watch this movie before football games in high school just to get pumped up. So I would go home, like our Friday night games, would go home, turn this on, get pumped up, then go get on the bus to go to the field.
Just get amped.
Yeah. And then so yeah, that was literally every week during football season. I was watching it. Actually Pete Busch and I have a how would you say that? Share a specific love of this movie for another reason. And maybe I'll let Pete talk about it since he's the one who did all the work for it.
All right. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I'm intrigued as well.
Yeah. Did you just hand him a point right now?
I did, yeah. He did, because he deserves a point. and it's he's deserved it since high school.
Wow.
Go on.
Yeah.
Go on. Pete Busch.
Is that my cue?
Go
Yeah,
on.
that was your cue that you completely
Yeah,
missed.
no, it's interesting about this movie. So I got something that like the specific what I liked about the movie. I'll start with that. I think the contrast, the classic underdog story between America, Russia, the whole parallel to the Cold War. I think it's like a brilliant setup. You guys talk about the soundtrack, but to me, it's the visuals that go along with the soundtrack. Like it redefined montage, right? It was so like awesome to just watch. Like you could like I was like prepping and just watching the montages on loop because they pump me up because it's just
the entire movie.
It's just montages, right? I mean, that's just like that's what's so great about it, and it like fast tracks like this epic story. So before I get into sort of what Jake was saying, because it's really big, I got 4 P's that define this movie: patriotism, perseverance, and the power of the human spirit. All of that adds to its appeal and enduring popularity. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, the worst 4 P's ever. There's only 3.
No, I got 4. Anyway, so what's interesting about this movie is it actually is if you really trace back the roots to where I got my career started, and it actually goes back to Rocky IV, which is really fascinating. And so in high school, I was on the video yearbook, and we were given an opportunity to create videos for all the this would have been spring sports, I think was the first time I did this. And we basically wanted to make little music videos for each of the teams, and then it would be played at the pep assembly. And so, getting into editing, one of the first things you kind of want to do is like find a good soundtrack to edit to. So No Easy Way Out was like, if you didn't know Rocky IV, you didn't know No Easy Way Out. So it's like a song that's like just action, like dynamite. And so I used that and cut that together against the boys track team, which Jake and I were team members on. And so our track team was god awful. However, when you put anybody that's running fast to No Easy Way Out, like it was just awesome, and it gave you this huge soundtrack. So then we played that in front of the whole school, and like, I don't know, it was the first time I really realized that's something I wanted to do, was like get into entertainment. And like I remember how it felt like showing that. And Jake was, I think, one of the first.
Like I was the first.
You were like
you're
opening
scene.
I mean, I don't think
O.
people realize the situation of this. Like, it was hilarious. We were in the gym. All of our high school was in the gym. We were playing this video on a big screen in the gym, and we had I think the first couple shots was me backing into the starting block, and it was intercut with the Lamborghini shots in that montage. And it was exactly. It was the best thing ever.
Epic.
It was absolutely
You guys
epic.
still have this?
Yeah,
I don't have this, and I wish I did. I have no idea where it is.
Oh my goodness, that'd be awesome.
Oh my god, you have a shot putter, like a slow-mo.
It's actually way better what I have in my head. Yeah, we'd cut all these shots of people running track, and then all of a sudden you get like Rocky looking up at Drago venging Apollo's death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best part. It had like nothing to do with our track team, and then
Yeah, and then also you cut to Adrian yelling at you for no reason at
You
all.
can't win.
Yeah. So that for those reasons, I submit it's probably one of my favorite, if not favorite, action movies.
That's really interesting that we all have such a personal relationship with this movie. Like I love that it's not just us talking about, oh, had a great storyline and it really hit all of the major beats of the storytelling and stuff like that, but it actually is something that really kind of resonates with all of us. And that's the power of this movie, man.
Yeah,
the power of love.
Well,
man.
I think that's why also, like, again, we're doing Rocky IV instead of Rocky. I mean, Rocky is obviously the better like film, you know what I mean? But Rocky IV, especially our era, I mean, I'm 5 when this movie comes out, so this is my first Rocky. I don't think I remember Rocky III as a kid, but I definitely remember Rocky IV. And yeah, so I mean, Pete kind of almost said everything that I would want to say. So, yeah, obviously, especially this past year, that this movie holds a little tighter and more intimate meaning than it probably has ever. But
Sure.
I,
Any Stallone movie is all of a sudden like the most important movie of our lives all of a sudden.
But I mean, yeah, I think just, and again, also I think it's one of the greatest sports movies all time. Pete mentioned it. It's all montage. It's actually, I have the actual stat here. It's 31%, I think, all montage.
31% montage. That's ridiculous. What a stat.
How
movie-
long is the movie?
An hour and a half.
Stat of the
It's
day.
90
stat
minutes.
of the
31
day.
point. Yeah, it's 31.
30.
That's 31 minutes of montage.
Yeah,
It's
and
only
Movie
a
should
94-minute
should
movie, I
aspire
think.
for that.
yeah, and during the second half of the film or the last 50 minutes, it's approximately 50% montage. So Stallone just said,
Yeah.
"Fuck it, we're doing montages the rest of this movie." So
Yeah,
I
we're gonna
love that.
tease you with montages in the first, but at the end of the movie, we're gonna hammer it home.
Hey, side note,
Incredible.
where is Burning Heart in this movie? I've watched it now like twice, and I can't find the song anymore.
That's when he gets to Russia, right?
Yeah, isn't it when he goes to Russia
Yeah.
and they're chasing him in the car?
No, the
Yeah.
first was the training montage when they're chasing him in the car.
No, it's when
No,
he
it's when he-
first
no,
arrives.
No, like when
yeah,
he
when Wrights gets on the
Oh,
plane.
okay. So he doesn't
he gets
train
on the
Burning Heart. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Revolutions.
I thought he did a training sequence to Burning Heart for some reason, but yeah, I was confused.
Well, it's Hearts on Fire. So there's two
Hearts on
songs with the
Fire,
word
yeah.
heart in it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I forgot to leave a little bit of stats out here, but I'm sure people already know a lot of this stuff. But of course, this movie was directed by Sylvester Stallone, also written by him. It stars him, Talia Shire, Burt Young, Dolph Lundgren, Carl Weathers. And the tagline for the movie is Rocky Balboa proudly holds the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship, but a new challenger has stepped forward. Drago, a 6'4", 261-pound fighter who has the backing of the Soviet Union. Now, obviously, Dolph Lundgren is tall. I believe he is 6'4". He's definitely not 261. I think he's probably closer to the 220s, I think, in this movie. But Rocky Balboa is super fit in this one. So he's probably 5'5", $150, maybe 135 in this one. But you can definitely tell his size. Like Drago's like punching down at him.
I know, but Drago's jacked, and with all of that jackness is heavy.
Yeah,
I could see him very easily being a 260 because I'm a very soft 200.
Yeah, but he's still,
you know what I mean? And
Drago's pretty lean though.
Maybe
Yeah, but look how big! Look at his quads. There's like 40 pounds in each quad.
yeah, look at his chest, though.
Yeah,
Look at
that's
that.
true. His quads are very huge.
I think he's 240. I think it's 240-ish, maybe. But good point.
His shoulders alone are
Yeah.
50 pounds.
Yeah.
Can't give the Russians credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
also,
movie
also pro-America.
Yeah. This
I
movie's
think he's only
budget.
like 200 pounds. Whatever. He's Russian.
This movie cost $30 million to make, which was quite a bit at that time, but it was the highest grossing Rocky movie of all time, and it made over 300 million worldwide. It made 127 million domestic. So like this is one of the first films that, especially you're talking 85, not a lot of films had that big of a difference worldwide as well as domestic, right? So this is one of the first films that really kind of touched multiple countries. Reviews wise, this had a 6.8 IMDb rating. Stallone himself rated this 7.5, so that's interesting. This
check that up a little bit.
This had a 40 Metascore, which is not good. Its highest review was 88 from, of course, Gene Siskel, who we tend to like and agree with more than Roger Ebert. Gene Siskel said, whereas Stallone with Rambo's mess around with real places and real events, in Rocky IV, we all know that this is pure Hollywood, pure fantasy, and very well-made Hollywood fantasy indeed. I think that's pretty spot on.
There's no substance in that review.
Yeah. Roger Ebert
didn't tell me anything.
Yeah. Roger Ebert gave it a 50. Rocky 4 is movie making by the numbers. Even the climactic fight scene isn't exciting as it should be. Maybe because we know with a certainty born of long experience how it'll turn out. Roger Ebert.
Well, you know what? He just, God rest his soul, is the worst movie reviewer of all time.
Well, especially when it comes to like blockbusters or like
Good movies.
He's just not connected. He's not. I mean, part of movie going, and we talked about this in our last podcast. Like when you go and see a movie like Super Mario Brothers, like it's cool to go and experience that with people that are like super fans, or like a Marvel movie, like people that dress up like Iron Man. You know what I mean? And they're like, they're obviously spooky, but I mean, it's fun because it's a whole new experience, and this is what people love, and those are the big money makers, and they're great movies. So, I mean, why would you bash it? What a dummy.
Yeah, for sure. The worst review they got was 25 from Time Magazine. Richard Schickel, a scant hour and a half long, padded with clips from earlier Rocky pictures, adding nothing to his mythic, let alone human dimensions. It lacks even the primitive suspense and crude capacity to release underdog emotions that permitted its predecessors to conquer one better judgment. Again, just misses the.
I disagree.
It's like a word salad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Richard Schinkel sounds like he was going through a divorce at the time he was watching the movie and just was not focused on it.
Yeah, the Adrian scene like gave him flashbacks right in the middle of the movie. He's like, "Oh, this
can't
is an
win.
awful movie." What? I can win. I can write a good review, I swear.
Awesome. So
It won't be today.
Guys, this will lead us into our first category. And this, of course, is ranked the top.
Hey,
5.
by the way, who gets points for the beginning, for the anything? Like,
good job.
I mean, come on, let's get going. Let's get this contest started.
Background, I'm going to give Pete. I mean, that's a pretty iconic, and it looks great behind you as well. So I'm going to give Pete the point. Pete Escarcega the point on background. Good job. And then I'm going to give. So I don't normally do this, but I'll tell you why I'm doing it. I'm going to give Pete Busch a point for his amazing story and his editing. He absolutely deserves this point. I'm going to give my brother Pete a point as well, only because he slightly made me cry, and you always got to give a point where someone able to make it emotional. Obviously that has nothing to do with the podcast per se than other forces in the world, but I gotta give a point to that. Pete did a good job.
Listen, you gotta know your audience.
Yeah, you know your audience, so you get a point for that. So Pete Escarcega's up 2, Jake 0, and Pete Busch 1. Jake, don't fret.
I'd like to.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
I'd like to vote to, and you guys could outvote me, Pete and Paul. I'd like to give Jake a point for literally just giving a point away and handing it over to Busch.
You want to give him an assist?
Hey, how about we take one of Pete's points to Jake, and then we're all at 1.
I'm okay with that.
That's fair.
I'm okay. Hey, listen.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
Since you brought it up,
I'm a team player here. I just.
All right. So everyone's
I'm just
1-1-1.
I just want us all to have fun.
1-1-1.
Because I advocated for Jake, I think I should get a point because I'm so amazing and as a human being.
There's an asterisk on this one.
I've got like 7 points right now.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
All right. So with that, guys, we're going to get into our first category, which is top 5 Sylvester Stallone films. We started with Pete on the first one. So Jake, you're going to start us off here, buddy.
Okay.
Come on, Jake.
Go ahead and run down your top 5 Sylvester Stallone films.
Top 5. All right. Number 5. I'm giving that one to First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome movie.
Mm-hmm.
Set the Rambo franchise up for success. It's a great story, action packed, just all around. Robert Dennehy, great actor. It's just all around good movie.
Yeah, it's really good.
There's a pattern for my next ones. So number 4, I'm gonna say Rocky 3.
Oh, so you separated them.
Oh, so you separated.
Oh, you guys didn't?
I didn't because I did more movies.
I didn't just because I wanted to say more stuff.
Yeah,
I like to hear my own voice.
All right. Well, I have an honorable mention too, so there'll be another one in there. Okay, so number 4, I got Rocky 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. T is Clubber Lang, legit bad guy. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, entertaining. Number 3, I have Rocky 4.
Mhm.
Number 2, I put Rocky 1. Because I think it's critically acclaimed, the best movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that, and it won an Oscar, so it deserves a high spot on this chart. However, the number 1 spot I give to Rocky 2, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah. I know, a
Interesting.
little bit of a curveball, but
Interesting.
here's why I say that, and that's because I think Rocky 2 is the perfect blend of Rocky 1 and Rocky 3 and 4.
Yeah.
You get like the heart and the grittiness of Rocky
Mhm.
1, plus you get more entertainment factor than Rocky 1 had. Like Rocky 1 is a little slow, and it's
Yeah.
not something you watch all the time.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Rocky 2 is super watchable. It's a little bit more grounded.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think
More
it sets,
inspirational too.
yeah, inspirational, but also it kind of sets the tone. I think it's the one that sort of defines the rest of the franchise more
Yeah.
than Rocky 1 does.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd agree.
Well
Yeah,
said.
I mean when Mickey yells, "What are we waiting for?" And then you
That's
hear the bell, and it's like
bong.
dun, 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 dun. Like that's the first hardcore training scene, like you're saying, that ultimately these Rocky films, Creed, even the Creed films as well, are
Yeah.
all defined by these training sequences. And that was the first one where it's like you just get chills in your spine.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
What are we waiting
Well,
for?
he finally wins, right? Like he finally wins after that first one. You can almost combine the first 2 movies into a just massive epic movie, really, right? And I think even the beats would match out if you put them side or continuous.
Yeah.
Wow, good list.
Yeah, that's a
Thanks.
great list, Jake.
Oh, and
Love
then
your
my honorable
explanation.
mention is
Are
we not doing
talk
that?
about your
Okay.
honorable
You
mentions.
do
Yes.
them after, yeah.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
I'm
I'll
sorry.
probably say it.
Yeah,
That way you don't
so-
get
I'll
credit.
probably say it.
Oh my goodness. So many rules here. Okay.
Yes.
There's a
Really
lot of
just-
Okay,
rules.
Pete Busch, you're up.
Russian rules here.
All right. I mean, it goes without saying this is going to be pretty precise. So, at number 5, Death Race 2000. Amazingly underrated film, dystopian race. I mean, Stallone's playing a race car driver. It's a pretty violent cross-country race. Never seen anything like it. Love it for the originality. Underrated Stallone film.
Wow.
Number
Check it out. I've
4.
never seen that before.
I've never even heard of it.
It's amazingly bad, so that's why it's on 5. That's why it's
Wow.
5.
Maybe that should be our
number
next podcast.
Yeah, number 4, Cliffhanger. I thought as being an intense thriller, the stunts alone and the cinematography, like the way they shot it back at the time, really
Yeah.
impressive.
Cinematography's
Really enjoyable. Again, unique, original. That's what I like. Number 3, Over the Top. Classic underdog story. You know, his performance is pretty darn good. The soundtrack is very memorable. Meet Me Halfway, Kenny Loggins. We've talked about this in previous
One of my
podcasts.
favorite songs. Yeah, man.
throwing Kenny
It's-
Loggins, it just upgrades your movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good. And obviously it's got a nice family theme and redemption, you know, these good things that it's tapping into. Number 2, Rocky Balboa. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's sort of an
Upset alert.
emotional
Really? Okay. Yeah.
relaunch,
Sleeper
a little nostalgic.
Interesting.
I thought a lot of the Rocky themes, you know, from the whole series were there. I really enjoyed the cinematography, the grittiness that was in there, kind of a trap down memory lane. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, because
No, I like
so many
that.
times. So many times when they relaunch this here, I like the premise of the whole movie too, just how the setup and everything, you know, and how they sort of brought a video game, like, you know, inspiring a fight and stuff like that. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
that's
cool.
kind of cool. I like it.
And so number 1, Rocky 4, for all the reasons I previously listed. So
Very
I
cool.
like my list.
That's a good
Incredible.
list. It's a good list.
That is a good list. Yeah. For me, I combined all the Rockies, and you could probably just take a wild stab in the night and figure out where I put Rocky on this list. But I went.
Especially
So
if
my
Voltron did and made one big movie out of it.
yeah, the Rocky Voltron is amazing. My 5, 4, and 3 are like these 3 movies that were kind of done around the same time, and I thought they were just for the time, and again, these are movies that are just near and dear, and they're incredible. I went number 5. I went Over the Top because of the Kenny Loggins song, especially. But it was, I mean, there was just very specific moves in that film that I still do to this day. I always put my hat backwards whenever I like have to
When you're
like do
arm
something
wrestling?
important. Whenever I'm arm wrestling, or if I have to wash the dishes, it doesn't matter. If I put my hat backwards, if I slide it around backwards slowly, I'm about to get down to business, and I'm about to like accomplish something. I'm about to overcome,
Like a switch.
and then I'm gonna do something with my fingers. Like it doesn't even matter what I'm doing. It's like I'm gonna just rock this shit. Number 4, I put Cliffhanger. Pete kind of said it really well. I don't know. I hadn't really seen visually something like, especially a few of those scenes. There's a lot of just fun and silliness in that movie, and a lot of action, a lot of like, oh my god, this is like crazy. But like that opening sequence was just intense. Like you'd never seen anything like it. And I love that Sylvester Stallone was in that movie. And when he's burning the money, he's like, well, it costs a fortune to heat this place. You know what I mean? Like just like throwing in these one-liners that are just amazing. Number 3, I had to go Tango and Cash.
Oh,
I
nice.
thought that this movie was just, it was just everything I ever wanted in a fun movie. I mean, you get the flash of like boobs like for like 2 seconds, so you'd have to pause it like at the right time. Guys know what I'm talking about. But then, you know, it was just a hilarious movie. Just these 2 guys. Kurt Russell's amazing. He's always been amazing, and the relationship between those 2 was incredible. Number 2, First Blood. Number 1, Rocky.
All right. Yeah, my list has similarities. Yeah. So my number 5, Over the Top. Like I said,
Thank you.
just throw Kenny Loggins in, and that puts you on the list. Number 4, I'm shocked no one else put this. This is one of my favorite movies, and I love the tone of this film, but it's Demolition Man. You know, they make Taco Bell like the best restaurant in the world. It's Sandra Bullock, like in one of her first roles, if not her first role. I just love like the campy humor that it had.
No, I could not stand this movie.
I get the nostalgia of that movie. It just wasn't a good movie. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
So nobody.
If you have Judge Dredd on your list, this might be the worst list.
Yeah,
of all
we
time.
might.
I don't have good. I don't like.
I might
didn't
hang
like
up.
it.
You just go ahead and finish the podcast. Judge Dredd is on the list. I'm out.
Number 3, I had Cliffhanger for every reason you guys said. Specifically, I really love the cinematography. I mean, this is one of the first films that actually looked like it's shot outdoors. I'm assuming some of it is shot outdoors, but it didn't look very studio-y, which a lot of these films kind of look like. You know what I mean? Number 2, First Blood. I think it's what like a lot of people don't really understand how good of a writer Sylvester Stallone is when he like puts his mind to it. Just like the original Rocky was such a great script. First Blood is the same, and it really dealt with things. I mean, it's almost like Deer Hunter meets, you know, I can't think of the other part of that, but
Well, the interesting thing about that movie is that like the original script, they filmed it and then they said, you know what, take out all my dialogue because it's awful. And then that's the movie that we see today. Like
seriously?
that was the reason why he never talks in the movie, because it just took away from the whole mystique of that character itself. But he had pages of dialogue.
Oh, I think he made the right decision. Yeah, because it adds to his character.
Imagine that last sequence where he's like, you know, nothing is over. You know, like that whole sequence where he's like going off. Imagine that for the whole movie. And would you love that movie? No, you wouldn't love that movie at all. But
it makes the end so much powerful. But yeah. Anyways, that's for the First Blood podcast. We don't want to get too far into that. And then my number 1, of course, is Rocky. So yeah, I'm surprised you guys didn't like Demolition Man as much as I did, but I really like all your lists for different reasons. You all had very good explanations. But I'm gonna go with Pete Escarcega on this one just because we had the most similarities. It's pretty much one difference.
I think I got 9 points right now.
And honestly,
because you guys combined 6 movies into one.
Yeah.
Let's
Plus
just
3
rewrite the
Creed
rules.
movies.
If I had seen Race, I like Pete's explanation of Rocky Balboa because I do like that movie a lot, and I think there's a lot of goodness in that film. And I thought it.
Man, I'm getting Death Race screws me again.
I like the
That'd be
commitment, Pete. I think
Yeah.
that's
What was your
yeah,
honorable mention, Jake?
cliffhanger.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to love that movie growing up.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, it was
so
so good.
You should have maybe
Um,
thrown it in your list instead of 4 Rockies.
Well, yeah, but the 4 Rockies are way better than cliffhanger.
Yeah, I know, but just
I'm actually-
it's a
paint
very
with a
true
different color,
statement.
Jake. Paint with a
I'm
different color.
surprised. Well, I mean, I'm surprised actually all of you included Over the Top because I like Over the Top too, and Kenny Loggins is amazing, but it's also a pretty cheesy movie.
Of course it is. But that's what's
Watch it. It's
amazing
not that
about
bad.
it.
It's not that bad.
Who goes into an executive's office and says,
I've-
"Look, I'm a trucker and I'm gonna do arm wrestling."
Yeah,
And
I wanted to be there to watch that pitch. That sounds amazing.
what's the budget on that? Somebody find out, please.
This movie is about arm wrestling, and Kenny Loggins is going to have the soundtrack.
Come on.
Sold. Awesome.
So
So
good.
the score, we have Pete Escarcega 2, Jake 1, Pete Busch 1. And our next category is, and the Oscar goes to, and this can go to a cast or crew member who performed the best, writer, director, cinematographer, whoever you feel really took this film to another level. This film won no Oscars. Actually, I didn't even look that up. I don't think it won.
What?
So yeah,
Outrageous.
it's pretty much
Dolph,
open game.
I thought Dolph Lundgren won for best supporting actor.
I thought maybe the soundtrack had
Feels
a song.
feels right.
But anyways, so Pete Busch, you're gonna start on this one. Go ahead and give us your Oscar.
I mean, we've already described the reasons why, but I mean, best editing, hands down. I mean, to bring the montage to a level that had never been seen before, that still replays in modern times.
Yeah.
That's a true legendary edit. So I don't even know who edited it, to be fair, but whoever that person is deserved
Pete,
the Oscar.
Yeah.
you would have easily had the point if you did the research.
Come on.
The 1 minute research that it takes to figure out who the editors are. I will say them.
Stand by.
I will say them, but goodness.
See, I knew you would know. That's your role.
That happened to me in the past where I didn't know like the cinematographer of a movie, and he took away my point. It's like bullshit.
I just lost it again.
All in the preparation, guys.
So yeah, it's more on your preparation, not your because so the editors, there's 2 of them. Don Zimmerman, he edited Half Baked, Ace Ventura, and also
He's
Navy
an
Seals. But he's done a bunch of other movies too. This guy's a legit great editor. And
I
then
think
the
he
other
was
guy,
the manager of the Cubs too. At one point, you
yeah,
know?
I was like, this name looks familiar, and I'm like, no wait, that's Don
Yeah.
Zimmer. That's Don Zimmer.
But, yeah,
Oh, Don Zimmer, right?
close.
John
Pedro
W.
Martinez charged him, I think, at one point.
John W. Wheeler is the other editor. He edited Separate but Equal. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one. That's the Thurgood Marshall about the something
Oh,
versus
yeah, Jim Wheeler. Yeah, I know who this guy is.
Brown versus School Board case in the 1950s. Big segregation case, right? And then he also did Space Camp. Pete, you know Space Camp.
Oh my God, Space Camp!
Yeah, I was like,
I love Space Camp.
Space Camp. This guy's legit. So yeah,
Oh
those
my
are
God,
the
I
two
want to
editors.
write this down. Space Camp. I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah, Space Camp is so good. All right, Pete Escarcega, what do you have?
I don't know. I think even though there's no easy way out, I'm gonna take the easy way out on this one and say that the Oscar, if there was an actual category, I'm inventing an Oscar category, by the way. The music supervisor of this movie, to be able to put together this soundtrack and to be able to just go, I mean, because you have to not only find the artist, but if you have to write something specifically for this movie, I mean, there's so much work that has to go into like getting an artist to come in and to record something, and within the confines of a budget and a schedule, it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I mean, everybody
music
knows
su-
the music supervisor was Vince DiCola, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like a known thing. So
Well, he was the
Dude,
composer. Are
you
sure
just totally
Yes.
stepped all over me. I was about to say Vince DiPaula.
Cola. Wait, he was the composer. He's also the music supervisor.
he was also the composer of the film.
Yeah, man. I would give it. I mean, because it's legendary. It's a
So Pete,
legendary.
you didn't know
Pete, I'm
the-
sorry.
You didn't know the guy you're voting for too.
No, I did know it, but Pete, just jumped in and was
Guys,
like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Well,
Pete.
it's okay because I was actually gonna say Vince DiCola
yeah,
because of not just I mean the soundtrack is legit one of the best movie soundtracks of all time, if not the best. But the songs, particularly from Vince DiCola for Hearts on Fire and the training montage, are legit make this the biggest thing in the 80s. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, I
Epic.
mean, it was, yeah.
he
Well,
composed War too at the end.
Yeah.
He did that one as well.
Yeah. And I do have an update, guys. The music
It's
supervisor was
iconic.
actually Robin Garb. So a negative point for Pete Busch.
Again, you didn't even let me finish. I was about to correct Pete and say that it was Rob.
All right.
Also,
so yeah. So
let's-
Jake's gonna get the point since he's the only person that did research on the actual
Thank
name
you.
of the Oscar he's gonna give it to.
Vince DiCola also composed songs for Transformers, the original animated movie, which is
All right.
also one of
Yes,
the best
yeah.
soundtracks of all time.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Yeah.
Bonus points.
Mine actually I would have given the point to Pete if he knew the editors, but mine would have went to editing just because again, this I mean Jake's right too, the music and the editing combined, this is just a power horse. So I would have gone with either of you guys, just who had the better explanation. But again, Pete didn't do the research, so he will be penalized for that. This is just like school. You gotta do the research, buddy. You gotta do the research. So I guess we'll pause since Pete just walked off in the middle of the podcast.
No, I'm here.
He's upset. He's very upset.
No, I'm here. I'm
Are you
right,
looking
I'm
up-
right here. Just keep
You know,
going.
Robin Garb, I already found it for you. In 4 seconds, when you said music supervisor, I found out who the person was.
Yeah, no.
High standards, guys. High
Just,
standards.
I just had to find out about Robin.
Okay. All right. Next category we have is It's Not Your Fault. The most powerful scene that gets you emotional or sad. So Pete Escarcega, we're going to start back with you again.
Okay. Most powerful that gets me emotional. I mean, it's just so obvious. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna go with because I'm a fighter, that sequence, and the exchange between, because
I mean, Adrian?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about Adrian that you love about her character, but you just hate her too. She's just such a ball buster. She's just never, excuse me, she's just never fully committed to what he has to do. We as an audience know exactly what Rocky needs to accomplish and what he needs to do. He has to go fight Drago. I mean, it's a given, and she just doesn't believe in him. You know what I mean? And then that just segues right into one of the greatest montages of all time. Where he's just reminiscing about everything. But I think it's the because I'm a fighter, and she screams out, "You can't win," and it brings that air of
Doubt.
It puts a real weight on his shoulders to prevent him from doing some real training later on. When he gets to Russia, he can't even focus because this fucking Adrian,
I think that's what makes it so
basically
great.
told him.
I think that's the great part of the writing is because again, if they went soft on that scene, all right, man, well, good luck, man. Good luck training versus she 100% opposes. And then she 100% doubts him. And she's always been a supporter of him, And so I think that's what adds so much more depth and stakes to the scene, because when she comes back later, that's what he needs to get over the top in training. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, he's back to being the underdog again, even though he's the champion. And all that, her role specifically adds all that to the stakes. And that's what makes this film, again, I think still resonate. Again, even when I'm watching it today, I agree with you. That's such a powerful scene because it's I was like, man, what, fuck you, dude. You can't show some support, but that's what makes it so good, because you still get angry at her. Even when you watch this.
It's also
7,000
on
times.
another level, if you look at it from Adrian's point of view, she just watched Creed, just like everyone else, die, right? And so she might actually be watching her husband leave for the last time. And
Oh,
she'll
yeah.
probably never see him ever again. Like in reality, if Rocky fought Drago, he would be murdered. You know what I mean? So of course she's going to be absolutely emotional during
By the way, Carl
that
Weathers is
sequence.
ripped
But
in this film.
Yeah.
everybody's ripped in this film. Paulie's ripped in this film.
Yeah.
Paulie's just like jacked.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my scene.
No, that's great. Jake, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, I actually prepared for this question and I listed the same scene. So, you know,
You can still give an explanation.
yeah,
You can
I
throw in
can.
the towel. Or you can throw in the towel.
No,
like
I'm not gonna
Rocky
throw the
did.
towel.
Throw
The-
the
the
damn
speci-
towel!
So Pete just rewatching the movie as he's doing the podcast, just grasping at straws. No, but yeah, he's right. He's right. The line is you can't win because that's I mean everything and if you think about every single Rocky movie, Adrian is the catalyst for everything that happens in every single Rocky movie.
Yeah.
She's what drives the story forward. So and he needs her to believe in him so that he can go out and do his thing. And it's, Rocky 2 when she's laying in the hospital bed and she's like, "Come here, win." Or
Yeah.
it's on Rocky 3 when
She's the
she
only one-
confronts
You
him on the
waiting
beach.
for?
What?
She's the only one in film history to have snot actually come down her nose when she's crying.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then in Rocky 3 when she confronts him on the beach, and then in this movie when she finally, she says you can't win, and he goes, "Adrian always tells the truth."
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he totally goes into this like almost like, yeah, no, you're totally right.
and
You
then
know, like
she
he's
and
just
then
like,
he's just dogging it until she comes out to Russia and finally says, "I believe in you. Let's do this." So
That's a
Yeah.
good point, Jake, because like going back to it, Rocky it doesn't always believe in himself. Like he's not like a very like self-confident dude. You know what I mean? Again, in Rocky 1, he's a bum, right? And he's definitely underperforming.
he loves her, and her attraction to him is what gives him the confidence to go out and do that.
Yeah. But he was still confident when he met her, though, which is the crazy part. So he
Yeah.
was confident, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And he was aggressive. So he wasn't like timid with her, but she definitely brought the fighter out in him. Wow, Jake, great job.
Jake's crushing.
Wow. You start off a little worrisome. You're just
I
like,
don't think in the history of the Action podcast has somebody gone to, I have the same thing as you, and then just crushed right afterwards.
yeah, that's an action podcast first. I literally
Well,
was
that's
okay,
what happens
well,
when you prepare. So
I thought you dropped the towel. I literally thought you dropped the towel. That
Well
was
done, sir.
well done,
Well
Jake.
yeah,
done.
thank
Good,
you.
good
Appreciate it.
comeback. Pete Busch.
All right, I got to bring my A game, so I prepared this one as well. So we'll see how it comes out because you guys know a little bit of the history personally for
Yeah.
this movie for me,
More than you
and
prepared for the last
obviously,
question, by the way.
yeah, then the scenes that really matter. And so the whole no easy way out montage, right? For me, that pivotal moment where you guys are talking about Rocky's self-doubt. He's gonna go on a drive. He's like, I gotta do a think. I gotta see if I got it in me. I'm gonna go through all of the reasons why, the reasons for and against, and the reason it was so powerful. I had to watch that scene probably 100 times when I was editing that video in high school, and it was really interesting because I had a bit of doubt myself.
For this podcast, you watched this 200 times. I was like, wow. Okay.
No, I had like a bit of
Watch
I had a bit of
20,000
doubt
times.
myself on, when they came to us and said, "Hey, you're going to show a movie in front of the entire school." Like there's a lot of pressure in that itself. Like, am I going to be able to, like, it was kind of like, well, what song do I do? And coming on that, and then you just start watching that sequence over and over and over again. And I remember sort of the shot selection that we described, like Jake like putting on his spikes, backing into the blocks, taking off, like kind of the look on his, like, hey, let's do this, like everything that an athlete goes through, right, to go and compete.
Yeah.
The same thing Rocky's going through, like, hey, and especially with boxing, there's a lot more on the line. Like you're putting your body on the line, your family on the line, and especially his best friend just died. So to me, it's got a really, that's why it's powerful, right? Because it taps into that personal stuff, and just an amazing montage. Watch it all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. fun fact, not to take this too dark, but almost for every reason that you're saying, when I was doing the video for my brother, this song, especially because of this movie, I was like, what can I take from this movie that's going to also kind of encapsulate my brother? And I felt like that song and that scene,
that sequence
was like the song. And I think I was even talking to you, Pete, about it. I was like, I got to have this song in it. Like, I got to figure out a way to do it, because this song just encapsulates, you know, struggle and doubt.
Well, what does it do?
Encapsulate.
Encapsulates.
Encapsulates. That's what I said.
Not simulates. Encapsulates. Yeah.
Killing the moment.
Thought I said that. No, all right.
You said. Neither here nor there.
Yeah,
Continue.
but
we're all crying.
So I actually I picked the same. I picked the same scene, Pete. So I'm gonna give you the point, Pete Busch. Great job, Jake. Honestly, in any other podcast, we probably have the point. And you did a great job. But
moral victory.
Yeah, Pete Busch picked the same scene. Had a good explanation. I think Jake's actually explanations may be better, but Pete picked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Pete has picked the same scene I did, so I don't want to take that point away.
Crazy.
So this is all about you.
Yeah, that's why I'm the judge.
Okay.
But you did a great job, Jake, and then keep it. But guys, the good news is it's now 2-2. We're back to 0 again, even ball game. So this is just like Drago Rocky. This is going back and forth. We don't know who's going to win.
He's caught.
Yeah. So next category we have, and this one's going to be a fun one. We're going to be ranking the fighters in the Rocky universe. So this is include all the Rocky films and the Creed films as well. So there is a total of 14 eligible fighters that you can name. And with that, we're going to start with Jake. Jake, and run through this pretty quickly. Don't give, especially only kind of give your reason.
Really?
Only give your reason for like the top 5, but just this will be an hour long if we debate all.
Yeah,
top 5. No, this is just top 5.
It's just top 5, right?
Oh, I ranked all of them.
No, this is just top 5.
Busch,
I
what
didn't
did you
do all of them. I did
all of them.
I did. No, I did top 10.
Oh, I just did top 5.
Can you do a top 5?
Okay.
But you'll see why I did top 10. So it's
okay.
All right, that's fine. So I guess we'll do a top 5, and then I'll give my full rankings after. That's fine. Okay, so Jake, give your top 5 rankings of the Rocky universe.
Okay, Rocky Universe fighters. Number 5, Thunder Lips, the ultimate male. And I'll go into that. I'll explain it in a second. Number 4, Apollo Creed.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Clubber Lang.
Okay.
Number 2, this might surprise you, Rocky.
Wow.
Number 1, Drago. Ivan Drago.
Wow. So can you
let me explain. Okay. Yeah. So Rocky beat everybody, basically. But he lost to Clubber Lang and he lost to Apollo Creed at one point. So they're he should sort of be in the same, it's like in the same ballpark as those two to me.
Sure.
Now he did beat Drago, but if you think about there's really no reason why he should have beat Drago. Drago is way bigger, way stronger. He's roided up. His reach is unbelievably longer.
Yeah, he's 2,000 pounds pressure in a punch.
He's probably 100 pounds heavier than Rocky at this point. So I think it was sort of a fluke that Rocky beat Drago in the movie, but it's a Hollywood entertaining movie. I mean, all I'm saying is, like, if you go pure numbers, Drago should be winning that fight.
Sure.
Yeah. Thunder Lips, sheer size and mass and strength. He could have destroyed everybody, probably except Drago on this list. I don't know about, I mean, it just depends what kind of fight this is. Are we talking boxing, wrestling, or MMA? Like,
is it an exhibition? Is it real?
Yeah, but he deserves a spot because he could have squashed Rocky at any point during that fight if he really wanted to.
Very good. All right.
Yeah.
Peter Escarcega, we're gonna go next to you per request
Yeah.
from Peter Busch.
Per request. Yeah. I'm gonna go and so here's my list. I went number 5, Clubber Lang. Number 4, I had to include Dame Anderson as he was just one of the greatest opponents to a Rocky character who's the lead. I mean, this guy is just incredible, and Creed 3 is a phenomenal film, and he crushes this role as the villain in this movie.
Yeah, a lot more
He's
psychological.
remarkable. He's just a really, really remarkable. I mean, he shows up in baggy stuff, and then immediately he like does one of those where he takes off his baggy thing and just like ripped as fuck, and it's just like, oh my god, this guy's gonna crush him. Number 3, what's that?
Do you have an erection or?
I don't know. I didn't see the pan down. 3, I put Drago. I put Apollo at 2. And number 1, the biggest opponent of all time is Jake Stole My Thunder, is Rocky himself. He's his own worst opponent. He always has to overcome something internal in order
It's not
to
opponents.
beat
It's ranking
these
boxers. Are you not
No,
ranking the best fighter?
I'm ranking opponents.
So you're not doing the category. Okay, clear.
I'm doing opponents. Who are the opponents
like
that
you
Rocky has
against
to
you.
face? Rocky has to face himself in every single Rocky movie, and he has to overcome. And yeah, my list is awesome.
Except that it's not the list that we're all on. But yeah, I mean, great.
It is. It's
your own.
okay. Fighter
It's
versus
right now,
opponent.
dude.
It's still the same thing. A fighter and opponent.
Sure.
Who's Rocky's greatest opponent in these movies?
I mean, yeah.
It's Rocky.
Okay, fair. All right. Well, we're here for the finale here. Pete Busch, he requested to be third.
This better be good.
All right, I
better
requested
be
to be
good.
third because I took a very different approach. I am not a boxing
So
expert,
you're
nor have
just
I
typing up your
seen
list now.
nor have I seen all of the Rocky movies to actually be able to rank them all. So I took a different approach. Being newly minted in AI, I wanted to see what ChatGPT thought about who the top 10 boxers were in the Rocky universe and give me reasons why. I wanted to see how accurate it could do. So I wanted you guys to actually go first to kind of get like some benchmarks.
Well, then let me go first and then you can go.
Okay, because it actually gave me the reasons why too. I do not agree with the list, but it's really interesting.
Okay. So I'm going to replace my number 10. So number 10, I originally had Mason Dixon, but I'm going to replace that with Thunderlips. Actually, no. I'm going to replace that with, okay, so my number 10 is Danny Wheeler. He was in the first Creed and the second one. My number 9 will be Thunderlips. My 8 is Diamond Dame Anderson. My number 7 is Pretty Ricky Conlon. I think Conlon is a legit fighter. Like, he just really brought it. Number 6, Clubber Lang. Only reason why I have Clubber Lang lower than that is because he had no stamina. Like, he was just if he didn't knock you out in the first, like you got him. And to me, it lowers him in the ranking. Number 5, Apollo. Apollo never really beat any, like, he pretty much lost to a nobody in Rocky, and he never really beats anybody in the universe. So we don't actually know or have any actual evidence that Apollo's a great fighter. And so that's why I ranked
Except that mansion that he lives in.
Yeah. No, that's a good.
No, but we just don't know how good he is. Like,
but Clubber Lang beat Rocky in his prime, though.
yeah, but that Rocky was dealing with Mickey's death. Like, Rocky wasn't in a good headspace. So my number 4, I have Ivan Drago, upset pick number 4. Reason why? Victor Drago, number 3. Victor Drago is a beast, and he destroys everybody. I want to see a Victor Drago film. And the reason why I have Victor Drago over Ivan Drago is because Victor Drago has a better why of why he wants to box. Like, he came from nothing, and like, I think he has more of that natural boxer, what makes boxers great, versus like Ivan Drago was like, boosted up on a pedestal from the Politburo, you know what I mean? So I think he's got a little bit more edge than Ivan Drago. big upset there. Number 2, you got to go with Adonis Creed. He's got the best record. He beat everybody. His track record is actually better than everybody. But number 1, you got to go Rocky, only because Rocky has the heart of a champion. He's a piece of metal. He's like a piece of ice. And
see, I completely misunderstood this category. I thought it was who are the, like, you rank the opponents or the fighters that Rocky.
I said rank the fighters in the Rocky universe. I said that.
So you should do some more prep work next time.
Yeah,
Pete.
maybe do some prep work.
The rest of us got it.
That's well.
So let's hear. I'm curious to hear Pete's.
Chat GPT's list.
Yeah, this is Chat GPT's list, to be 100% fair.
Okay.
And I only had to ask it twice. The first time it actually did not include Rocky. So, but I was saying the fighters, so it kind of took it as that. So, but I'll do the 10 that it gave me, and then I'll show you where it actually put. I'll show you where it put Rocky. All right. So number 10, Union Kane, limited fighter, but easily defeated by Tommy Gunn.
Right.
From Rocky 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 9, Thunderlips, pro wrestler turned boxer, lacks the training and experience.
Love it.
Number 8, Spider Rico, talented fighter, but lacks the experience and conditioning from the original Rocky.
Oh, is this
reappearance of Rocky Balboa? This does not include Creed 3, probably.
Includes
Creed 1 and 2.
Okay.
It up till October of 2021.
Spider Rico won nothing ever, so that's a pretty high ranking for Spider Rico.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the next one. Number 7, Clubber Lang's sparring partner, skilled fighter, but lacks star power and accomplishments.
All right, I think you just lost. You just lost the list, Pete, right there.
Okay. Let's be fair, it's not mine. All right, 6, Adonis Creed, talented but lacks experience in seasoning. Number 5, Tommy Gunn, talented fighter but lacks the experience and is easily manipulated by his manager.
Yeah, he's got no heart. Tommy Guns have no heart whatsoever.
That's why I'm glad you guys are getting fired up. I was too when I read it.
Never fought anybody good except Rocky, and then he's lost to Rocky
on the street too.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Such me on the street.
All right. Next, Mason Dixon, skilled and undefeated champion, but lacks experience and grit. Number 3, Clubber Lang, a fierce and aggressive club fighter, but can easily be thrown off his game and lacks the strategy and intelligence. Number 2, Apollo Creed, a legendary and charismatic fighter with great skill and heart, sometimes is overconfident and prone to making mistakes. And number 1, Drago, power and intimidating, but too reliant on strength, lacks the physical heart and determination of other opponents. I actually like, Paul, your explanation of Victor Drago, which makes me think that Creed 2 is not in here.
Not. Well, none of the Creed guys are in it. There's
Adonis
no way.
Adonis in there, yeah.
It had Adonis. So then I asked it to re-rank it and
Creed.
put Rocky in there. And it's funny, when it re-ranked it, it switched some of the orders. So I don't know what its logic is, but it put Rocky at 5th due to his numerous accomplishments and legendary status as a character, despite not being the most skilled fighter on the list.
Yeah, except he won everything.
It's like Rocky Marciano.
I
was impressed at some of the answers, but did not agree with the ranking.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give the point. I mean, this went absolutely way worse than I thought.
This was the worst list of all time.
Fine.
I'm the only technical. I love Pete's ingenuity, but the list sucks. So that's I was willing to give you points, but Chat GDP's a moron. But I'm gonna give the point to Jake because of Thunderlips.
And it's artificial intelligence. It's artificial.
I don't know, Paul. You should get the point for that.
I mean, if there was, my list is definitely the best, but I can't give myself points. So, anyways, we're gonna move on to the next category, which is by the way, the score is Pete Escarcega 2, Jake 3, Pete Busch 2. So Jake has now taken the lead. Next scene we have is Ma the Meatloaf, scene that makes you laugh or feel good. Probably feel good. Obviously, this is not a comedy, so makes you feel good is kind of where I'd go with this one. So Jake, you started the last one, right? So Pete Busch, you're gonna start this one.
All right, this is the main montage during the main fight. When there's a moment when the Russian crowd starts to turn, and you got the music, you got the montage. People, they're getting beat up left and right. You don't quite know who's winning from a montage standpoint, right? It seems pretty equal, but then they like sprinkle in again amazing editing from the guy I can't remember. They insert little audio cues from the announcers, and it's like a few cheers from Rocky. Moscow is pro Russia or pro Rocky, and then it goes to the end when it's like no pain, no pain, and
Yeah.
it's like all coming together. It's like the crescendo fight scene, and like I love how they come out of the montage in like round 12. Like it comes out and they ease in and they're walking in for like the final round. Like it was such a sweet, like I don't know, crescendo of that whole fight. So
Yeah. It's Zweiban. It's Zweiban.
It's awesome, yeah. It's awesome, yeah.
All right, Pete, what do you got? Escarcega.
Well, this isn't my thing, but the funniest part of this movie is when Paulie falls in the snow. That's like the funniest
For
moment ever in this film. But the one that makes you feel the best, I mean, we've talked about it before, is when Adrian shows up in Russia. And I mean, up until that moment,
It's emotional, Pete.
it's very, but it's very kind of like, it's hopeless. This movie up until that moment is very hopeless. We've seen a death. We have Adrian saying you can't do it. He agrees. He's like, you're always right. I mean, fuck, but I gotta go. But when she shows up, it turns that tide of his training. He becomes like hyper focused, and has never looked more chiseled. I mean, he had pieces of abs that I didn't even think existed when he first took off that robe for that final fight. I was like, Jesus, is that real? Can you have 8 abs? Jake knows he probably has 12, but it was one of the more it made me feel good because of what just happened right afterwards. Like it brought that movie into more of a positive swing.
Yeah, for sure. Jake Fenske, what do you got?
Yeah, I actually had the same thing as Bush. I think that the whole turning of the fight is the most uplifting part of the movie. It's like they really try to play up the intimidation factor at the beginning of the fight, where it's like it's got the giant banner of Drago, and all the shots from underneath Drago where he just looks huge, and the commentators, and the Russian national anthem. And the commentators are like, he's fighting a hostile crowd, and most of the Politburo looking on. Yeah, and then
that's the only reason I know the Russian national anthem was because of this movie.
The tight close-ups.
I think that's probably the tight close-ups and the superimposed photos of them getting punching each other.
Yeah.
Oh, with the sound effects, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the extreme close-up of Tony Burton's face when he goes,
Yeah.
And no, but and then and then the crowd turns and
Awesome.
yeah.
So mine, so I have a moment and then I'll give you a scene. So my moment is when Rocky's just getting beat down, and then he able to throw that hook, and he's cut. The Russian is cut. Like you just get chills in your body because it doesn't look like there's hope, and it looks like it's going down the same path and it's over. And it's really hard when you know that at the end of the day it's still Rocky and he's probably going to win, but at the same time he's getting absolutely pounded at this point. And he looks befuddled, like you just don't see a way out of it. And that moment I thought was so well done. Like Pete was talking about with the announcer, or maybe that was Jake that just said it, with the announcer adding that extra element to it. You get this glimmer of hope, like, holy shit. And it's like, we have a battle now. And then that's what then goes into the montage. But for me, it's that small little moment, that punch is again, I think that's where I have the biggest feeling. But scene wise, it's Burning Heart, like the training sequence. Like when I hear that song, like, ding, ding, like again, you play that song now, I just get chills.
Wait, how's the song go?
Ding, 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 ding. Like, and I just like even today I was jump roping and I hear that song when I jump rope and whenever I'm like I feel like I'm fading a little bit, I hear that song in my head and it's just like I push like and I start, the abs when he's just like crushing on the ab machine.
Yeah, it's so weird that you jump rope today. I put my family into a cart and like lifted them up. It's just like that's what I did today.
And your family weighs a total of 95 pounds. So that
Yeah,
that
they
weigh
combined 97 pounds.
Yeah.
But I was still struggling. I was like, dude, I had like the neck
veins.
Veins.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give the point to Pete on this one. Escarcega, excuse me. Sorry, I gotta use different names. Pete Dog. I'm gonna give the point to that one. Interesting. I normally wouldn't. I liked your explanation the most on that one. I thought
Thank you.
You thought a little bit outside the box because normally that should have been the other category, but I just liked your explanation on why it made you feel good, which makes sense. And obviously, Pete and Jake kind of cancel themselves out, which is unfortunate sometimes. But that's why we play the game. Next, we have line, please. What's your favorite quote? And then what's your best underrated quote? So go ahead and just give both. Give your favorite, and then give your underrated, and then I'm going to rate. I may give 2 points. I may only give one. Who knows? I play that by ear. But we're going to start with Pete Escarcega on this one.
Oh God.
Pete, what's your favorite quote? Underrated.
Yeah, I think my favorite. I mean, there's so many. I think I'm gonna go with I want to read that bell and ding ding. But then while he's like, it's all kind of like one continuous quote. He's like, "Hey, you move real good for an older guy." You know what I mean? That's the line that I love. It's just like my favorite line. The underrated quote. I feel like.
Wait, wasn't that Rocky 3?
Technically, it's Rocky 3 that's replayed in Rocky 4.
No,
so,
but it's at the very beginning of Rocky 4.
That's gonna probably, lose you that category.
Cool. And my most underrated quote is from because it's so ridiculous. Is the reporter where after like Creed is obviously like fucking dying, and he's like, Creed seems to be in some serious condition right now. Like, oh yeah, no fucking shit. Look at him. Like, of course he's in serious condition right now.
That was me. All right, Pete, way to redeem yourself because that first one was fucking terrible. Goodness sakes.
Well, why was it terrible? Your mom's terrible. That's why I don't talk to her anymore. All
right. Jake Fenske, you're up.
It's the best quote in the movie to me is, "He's not a machine. He's a man." That's as you said before. That is the turning point of the movie. It's when everything starts to go his way. We finally realize that he has a chance at winning this fight.
Yeah.
So the underrated quote from me is when Rocky says, it's in the same sequence when he's talking to Adrian on the stairs and he goes, "We can't change who we are." And that's something you like that?
I'm loving the accents, guys. Loving the accents.
That is something that has he got that from Apollo because Apollo said, "I'm a fighter. I'm always going to be a fighter. Like this is who we are." And Adrian's trying to teach him. Yeah, Adrian's trying to teach him how to evolve as a human being and actually have not be the fighter anymore because she cares so much about him. She wants him to be around for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And to stop fighting.
Maybe we're just regular people.
But that's yeah. But I think that's one small phrase that really defines not just like who he is, but how he feels about himself.
Yeah. That's good, Jake. Sorry, we're totally interrupting you, but you did a great job. You did a great job.
Did you say this little cheating? Chasing the people. Come on, that's spot on. That's pretty good, right?
Great.
Yeah,
All
that's
right. Pete Busch, what do you got?
All right, top line, because I think it parallels so many themes in the movie. And it's when Rocky's talking to Paulie out in the snow, and it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. You know, it's right. So it's not about how hard you hit, which is like what the Russians think is the most important, but the American perspective is how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. But it also parallels boxing. It parallels the arc of the fight in the end. So it's a little foreshadowing, and that Rocky just keeps going, right? It's really interesting, sort of where they position that. And so I think that was easily, for me, the top line.
very insightful, because that also contrasts with how Drago trains, because they focus so much on his punching power in the montages.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody just got a point.
All right, now the most
He's all
underrated
excited right now. Look how he's all smiling right now.
Hey,
Oh, I'm excited because the most
Underrated
underrated is
quote.
actually one I did not realize he said this until about maybe a year ago. But in the press conference, Apollo and Drago's press conference, Apollo says there is no tomorrow, which I just missed. And it's sort of like he sort of knew what was on the line. Like it kind of gave you an indication that he kind of knew it was at stake, but the whole thing was sort of, he just kind of took it as a joke, like it was in the bag. And so when he says there's no tomorrow, they literally what? Like he's done. So it's a little foreshadowing, but it's kind of this underrated line that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They slipped that in there.
Crushing this category.
Yeah,
Well
I
done.
agree.
Sometimes it's a disadvantage to be third, but I think in this case it was complete advantage for Pete to be third. I'm gonna award him both points.
Wow.
Jake, I mean you had a point, but I just really like Pete was on point. I think it was very succinct.
Crazy, like
and he went deeper beyond the lines. I think that's where he really got the point. He went deeper beyond the lines. But Jake, you did top two, and then Pete, you were terrible, of course.
Gotta play catch up.
I mean, what started out as a joke just turned into a disaster.
I almost gave you a point for your incredible line impression that you did of Rocky. That was notable.
Changing. I'm turning into other people.
That's good.
It's so good. It's so good. I can do that all day.
Next category, same format. We have great shot, which is your favorite shot in the film, but also an underrated one. So I want your best and then underrated, and then I'll decide whether I give 1 point or 2 points, depending on how good your answers are. So I believe now, Jake, you're first on this one.
Okay. Best shot is the rack focus in the mirror when he crumples up Drago's picture. Shows that he finally has the confidence to beat him, and he's ready to go. Yeah. Underrated shot for me is this kind of goes into just the love I have of all the movie's montages, and it's like reliance heavily on montages, but I love the shot of it's just a personal favorite, but like the shot of him jumping rope at during the Hearts on Fire montage.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I love how like the sound matches, like the sound of the jump rope matches the music, the dust, the close up of the dust kicking up.
Yeah, it's real. It's not. It's. I think what makes the shot great too is there's no cheating in his training. Like Rocky or Sylvester Stallone is physically doing everything that his character needs to do, and there's no fucking shortcuts. There's no there's no cheating, and that's sometimes it's more of the camera placement versus like it's landscapes or whatever. It's just raw and real, and Sylvester Stallone's doing it. Added sound effects, of course, just to amplify it, but it's beautifully shot, because that's what makes that the greatest training sequence of all time, is because he's doing it, and there's no fake weights, there's no whatever. So yeah. Awesome. Pete Busch, what do you got?
I mean, there's a lot of really good shots. I wanted to kind of pull one out of the fire because I thought it was, again, a little analytical, but the shot when he's training in the snow and he's being chased by the Russians are in the car and they're like chasing after him and the car like gets wedged in the snow and he like runs up the mountain. But it's like this really interesting moment because it's like the Russians are trying to keep tabs on everything and like Rocky already was kind of feeling doubt leading up to that when he's training and like how can I train in these conditions, and then Adrian shows up, Pete, you talked about like that's the change of his spirit, and it's like this scene of like he's breaking free of Russia and being more like back to his roots. And that's where he ends up on top of the mountain and he yells out Drago. But I distinctly remember the car getting wedged in the snow. And it's just like they can't get out of their own way.
But like, what are they doing? They're driving around a really nice Mercedes in like 6 feet of snow. And the guy's, he's like wearing like really nice loafers trying to run after Rocky. You're like, you're Russian. Like you live in this.
It was a good shot. And underrated, it goes back to that montage, the No Easy Way Out montage. I think when there's like this like panning shot when Rocky adjusts the mirror and then you see him and he's kind of it's got like this vignette, like it's kind of dark around him, kind of like his mood and like what he's about to go through mentally. Like it's just kind of this cool moment.
Yeah, for sure. Pete Escarcega.
I went my favorite shot. Kind of cheating a little bit, but there's that opening training sequence when he's in Russia, where they just starts out very subtly. The landscapes that they show right at the very beginning, the onset of, it just showed like this vast, cold, empty, desolate place that he had to go and run into in order to kind of accomplish something. It just there was something very powerful about that opening sequence where he just has to kind of go out into this void, almost this uncertainty. My underrated shot is the shot of when Drago first walks in, and it's a silhouette of him. He looks like a giant. He looks like an absolute giant compared to anything else, and it's just like just amplified what he was up against. If he wasn't up against enough already, that he just looked like a monster. It was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that. That was a badass shot.
Yeah,
badass shot.
Mine is I guess Pete was probably the closest to it, but it's the shot on top of the on top of the mountain when he's got the hands in the air, and it's just, again, it's not cheated. Like he's literally on top of the mountain. Yeah, it's a helicopter shot, and he literally had to be dropped off there. I'm sure he actually probably climbed a little bit of it just to get some of that footage. But again, there's no cheating. It's real. It's encapsulating. Like he's on top of the world. Going all to the metaphorical stuff. Like he had to climb his way to the top, and he had to do it the old-fashioned hard way. And again, and that the cinematography just accentuates that. And then my number two, my underrated shot is the zoom in on Duke when the slow motion, like it's like awesome. It literally makes me crack up. Like I was watching that today. I was like, I gotta mention that shot because it's just so out of the way. It's crazy. And then all the training sequences, like all the shots, they're so it is really well crafted in terms of like how tight they are, and again, just the juxtaposition. But again, I like how tight the shots are, because it's like, again, you're just seeing the sweat come off the shoulder, or the shot going in, or the tight look on the machines. It's all just really well shot, and it blends very well together with, again, high tech and cheating and indoors versus a guy that's literally actually doing most of it, and they're both actually training. These guys are both physical beasts, which is why Dolph Lundgren got the role. But yeah, I love all that stuff. And so, and then I did have the Russian national anthem as well as like another side note, because again, that part, like, again, like I was talking about, like just the close up of him kind of looking back, him when again, like looking back, I never really thought of it this way, but you see Drago looking at the Russian national anthem, and again, he talks about how like I am Russia, you know, but then he looks back down at his opponent, and again, it shows fear, right? It shows maybe he's not as confident as you think he is, and you don't really know this at the time, but looking back, it's like, wow, that I never really saw that before. I never really thought of it that way. Drago actually showed weakness on that stage because he's looking back at the opponent.
I have to look at that again. I never got that impression. I got this impression like he looked back, like saying, I'm about to just, I'm going to pound you in about 30 seconds. This is going to be done, and I'm going to go home a hero to my country. I want to go look at, I'll go look at it again. It's interesting.
If I remember correctly, the eye line of Rocky is he's looking forward, and Rocky and Drago is looking back at. He's looking at the flag, then looking back, then looking at the flag, then looking back. I don't get that impression that it's I'm going to kick your ass, because he did that against Apollo, where he's just staring him down. He doesn't blink. He doesn't move. But when you look back at Rocky, it looks like he has. He doesn't. He. I mean, he still thinks he's going to beat him. But
no, that's interesting. I'm going to look again.
Doubt.
I didn't get that impression at all.
With PD on that one. That's what I got in my head. It was like supreme confidence, like you're in my backyard.
Yeah, like you're here in Russia. You've had nothing but snow and bread.
I got this. Like this is the first time I ever had that opinion. So, it's just what
it's interesting.
It's the
I
first.
Want to look at it with your lens for sure. It's interesting.
So, I'm gonna give. I'm gonna give 1 point to Pete Busch, 1 point to Pete Escarcega. I forget which one had which, but you both got a point on that one. I like both of your explanations on that.
Oh, all the best I can do is tie at this point. Oh no, there's two more.
We have two more categories. Yeah. So
Jake, director's chair, and
Jake can still tie.
Come on, Jake.
So our next category is director's chair. What would you change about the film? And this, actually, nice little segue. I didn't plan this, but the producer and me did. What would you change about the film? Now, recently released is a director's cut. This came out in November, I believe, October, November, and it's called Rocky IV, Rocky versus Drago, the Ultimate Director's Cut. Have all of you seen this or no?
I've seen it.
I've watched it.
I would say don't bother.
I don't agree with that opinion, Pete. I think that's a little too strict. I think
you should always see it. If you're curious about why I say that, you can ask me a question and I can explain.
Sure, or you can just include it in your statement and add a little bit more.
Yeah, this movie, the way that it was laid out and all of the very obvious information that they added to this film, almost was like this was the first movie in this franchise, but this was the fourth movie in this franchise. You didn't need all of this backstory about the relationship between, Creed and Rocky. You didn't need so many of the different things. I mean, and it didn't include all of the most iconic things that made Rocky IV so incredible. Like the Paulie. Happy Birthday, Paulie. They didn't even have it in this one. So already it's not even that good.
I think you're right and you're wrong. I think at the end of the day, the original is great. And I this is not something where I think it should be like Star Wars where it eliminates the original. I think this always should be a companion piece, because what I do like about this other version,
it's a little too on the nose. It's like, yes, this is about Russia. This is about the relations between Russia and United States. Like they just, it's so on the nose. The dialogue is very contrived. The scenes, even the extra scenes that they put in,
but this was shot back then, though. By the way, this wasn't. It's not like this was reshot. So this is.
I get that. I get that, and I get that this was like Stallone's. Like, this is his dream movie. Thank God that he didn't get to make this film. It wouldn't have been nearly what this Rocky IV was. I
think the original needed to come out the way it did.
To be honest,
but I think what I liked about this film is I do think the story is actually better. So if you think of this in a purely technical sense, the original film repeats Rocky 3, and then it goes into the fight, which is still part of Rocky 3, the fight between Apollo and Rocky, and they finally square off and they hit each other, right? And then it goes into Apollo's party, which has pretty much no importance to the movie itself, no plot, nothing. And then the next scene is the announcement of Drago. Then it's the pool party. Then it's back to Paulie,
again,
the robot. But what I like about
again,
this one is the first scene after all the first scene after all of the Clubber Lang stuff. The first thing after all the Clubber Lang stuff is Apollo in the pool, and it's just in the pool, and they make the announcement on the TV. So I think as a crafted film, that's a better technique to reintroduce a thing, because then he's shook. It's this, to me, that part is better. But I agree with
they're basically, you know, giving you all of this like backstory that you already knew because you've seen the other movies. They've given you all of these relationship, like in-depth scenes between characters that you already know already. You already know about all of these things that they've added to this movie. It didn't bring anything new into it. In fact, it took away from what this movie was, which is the fourth installment of a movie. It's not the first one. If this was the first Rocky movie, I totally get it. You need all that backstory. You need all that history. You need to build up certain aspects. But no, it was a disaster. Don't watch it.
I wouldn't call it a disaster. I think
it's bad. It's really bad
to watch after the original. Like I said, I don't think it should replace the original. I think this is always a companion piece, because I do like the extra scenes that they add. I do like some of the. I like the scene within. Again, I wouldn't like this for the original. I like it for this new one. But I like the scene with the box commission where he pretty much gives up his title in the box commission. I thought that was kind of a cool scene. Again, I like this as a companion piece.
But then not the commissioner, who's the head of Russia? What's his title?
Premier?
The Premier. Premier gets up and walks out and leaves at the end of this movie, which is like awful. Like, I loved the end of Rocky 4 where he actually is like, yeah, Rocky, fucking amazing, great job. Like, that just added to the ending of the original Rocky movie. In this cut, Premier just gets up and fucking walks out. He's like, fuck this.
Yeah, I think that's more real.
I don't like that.
I think that's more realistic.
Yeah, but it's not Rocky 4.
Because that's
not the Rocky movie.
I'll go into my
this wasn't a Rocky movie.
But it did lead to like what you learned in Creed 2 about sort of what the aftermath in Russia would happen to Drago and his son.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather, yeah, but there's a little more character development. I actually agree with Paul, but there was some interesting character development in the director's cut that
I like it after the fact. Again, I'm not telling
that we knew from other movies.
It's like watching behind the scenes, or like, again, I think it just adds. To me, this is a companion piece. This is not replacing it.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think it added anything.
I think a lot of the scenes were redundant. I mean, a lot of them were basically Apollo trying to convince Rocky to fight, and there was like 3 extra scenes for that. And we don't need all that. We already know what he's trying to do. And then
exactly, Jay.
Also, it slows down the pace.
So right.
It slows down the pace of the movie. Like you're trying to get all these plot points completed, and if you string out the setup, it screws up the pace of the movie.
Like, that's why, honestly, that's why I fell asleep. It was so slow to get into the action that I knew was coming.
Yeah.
Like that whole birthday scene is so slow, and it just repeats everything that Apollo had already done in the pool and in the other scenes before that.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I liked, again, that I thought was interesting was that they offered Rocky the fight first, and then Apollo was like, hey, let me have a shot at it. Like, I like that little twist, because again, it kind of goes back to it added more to Apollo's incessantness to, like, it was more about him, even though he wants to say it's about America versus Russia, but it really was about him and his relevance. So I thought that was a little more character deep.
Yeah, but we knew that already from the original.
No, he never mentions it's about America versus Russia.
Exactly.
I agree with
But-
Paul.
but-
Like he's kind of
but you
looking at the
already
writing
know
on the
it's
wall.
about-
Like,
But you already know it's America versus Russia. You don't
yeah,
need
but
it spelled out for
this,
you.
I guess
That's what I'm
this
talking
gave a
about with the
different
on-the-nose
element.
stuff.
Yeah,
Just give a different element where you saw that Apollo actually was fighting for something else. He was trying to remain relevant. That it was offered to Rocky, and he wanted to sort of, there's something else for him on the line. I don't know. It did give you some other wrinkles that you hadn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's interesting to watch. I'm not saying it's replacing Rocky IV original, but anyways, let's
Super
move
interesting.
into. I love the fact that we're pretty much split on that. So that again, I think that's interesting. But
I've
we're
always said that Jake was very smart.
so we're gonna move into our next
Always said it.
category, which is director's chair. What would you change about the film?
Yes.
And I believe Pete Busch, we're starting with you.
Now this one's easy. You just cut the robot out of the movie. Like that was so
Oh,
useless,
Oh, come on.
so dumb. That
It really
whole
is.
like
there's no actual
You take a
like
take a point away.
they're cutting back to his son watching from home and cheering, and
That's
I
my
don't care about the family side of it at all. Like I don't know. I get the son part. You probably keep that in, but just the robot added nothing. It was just a dumb element. I did not like that at all.
No, I agree because again, that goes back to I think Apollo in the Pool is a better beginning to this film than the party.
The robot.
I
robot, like yeah,
absolutely
there's no
disagree.
point in that. I mean, the robot's funny now as nostalgia, but it's not actually good.
No, we got to give.
I still
Yeah, but
hate it to
it's-
this
it's-
day. It's so dumb.
It is. I mean,
Okay,
it's
I like
dumb, but it also it's just a demonstration of how lavish his lifestyle is and how out of touch he is.
With
the boxing world at this point.
Like if
It's like
Apollo had
it's supposed to
if
contrast.
Apollo had the robot.
Well, it's supposed to contrast where he is now to where he gets to in Russia, and he has to train in a barn with nothing.
I mean, yes,
Okay. All right.
I agree.
Alright.
Right. I don't think you need a robot to tell you that.
No, I agree, but I mean,
But he's
there's-
actually giving Paul E a robot as a gift, which is like, that's like the top of the line thing at that time. So I actually Jake's
Like, he's giving
Jake
him a
swayed me. I'd still
companion.
cut the robot out because I don't think it added anything, but I get it now a little better.
Paulie's never gotten anything from Rocky except he got that one watch
The
that one
watch,
time that he
yeah.
ends up like breaking either way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's never gotten anything. He finally got a
He
robot
got a
that wants to
job
have sex
from
with
him.
him.
He got a consistent job from him, being his corner man, doing nothing,
yeah,
and getting a steady paycheck. Probably
Paulie.
makes six
Not the
figures.
same. A robot is on the top
Thanks.
of everybody's
Thanks,
list.
Rock.
You're all
Alright.
hard rock.
Pete
We
Busch
all hard
or
rock.
Pete Escarcega, what do you have?
The only thing I'd change about this film is an editing error or a continuity error in the movie where Apollo has gotten into the ring to fight Drago. He's got his gloves on. And when he's screaming at Drago, I want you, he doesn't have gloves on. He has just the wraps on his hand. He doesn't have his gloves on.
Oh yeah, by the way, that
would
would never happen in a real fight because
I would have
you know, the
reshot
ring
that.
would have to have.
I would have reshot that one shot, that
Yeah.
one line. I want you with actual gloves on his
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
that. Jake, what do you got?
For me, sort of in the same spirit as Bush, but I would say I think you could cut the kid out of the whole second half of the movie. Those scenes, he
Dude,
is.
Jake, that's our most quotable moment.
That's
You
my
wanna cut
dad.
it?
We know.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know.
Because I think you've established the fact that the kid,
don't even
like
know
he
you
has a
anymore.
family and he has other obligations and things. Like this is like if he loses this match, it literally means he loses his life and he loses his family.
Does that mean
so
you
you-
would cut the line into my kid at home who should be asleep? This
No,
is
because
really
you don't
good.
have to. You can keep that because they already know the kid is not there with them, and Adrian is representing the family in Russia, so you don't need the scenes of the kid.
Yeah.
but
I
you can still
know.
make reference to him because he was in the earlier part of the movie, and he's already
No, this is-
covered that scene with when he's talking to the kid saying, in in the bed when he
Yeah.
says, I'm gonna go fight. So
And
yeah,
sometimes I just hope that they hit me in the jaw. No, but I think they needed it in terms of runtime because without the kid in the movie, it would have. And this was the shortest Rocky movie ever up to that moment,
90
and it
minutes.
was only like 90 minutes. Like they needed a couple minutes. You had the kid in there.
Yeah.
Go put some Apollo pool scenes. Get the kid and the robot out
Yeah.
of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here with the Apollo
Oh.
scenes.
So I have a couple things, and mine's little bit about boxing in general. And then so there's a look when Rocky he first gets knocked down, and he's pretty like, oh shit, and then he looks at Adrian, and Adrian just drops her head down, and just it's like, geez, man, like you still can't support him a little bit, like like he's kind of needing a little bit more from you, and you just
Like
drop
right off the bat, she's just like,
yeah, like
here we go.
yeah,
So I knew it. I knew it.
I knew it, yeah.
I told him.
I
him
told you
every
so.
time.
Yeah, I fucking knew it. So I was just like, oh, that was brutal. I don't know if that's necessary, but the other one I have
Right.
is the throwing in the fight. Like, I mean, that's not boxing. Like, you can't just throw somebody, and so that always bugged me literally since I was a kid.
Oh, that's great. They're great. And the announcer's just like, and he's just throwing them around. Like,
But
it
you
was
can't
awesome.
do that in boxing. That's a minus point. And so it's just, again, it's like the refs don't even do anything about it. It's just like, hey, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's in Russia. It's Moscow rules. Like, of course they're not going to do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's like UFC over there.
I don't think you needed the throw part. Like you can do a shove. And I just think it's unnecessary. I'm actually not a fan of the crowd just being 100% pro Rocky. Like, these are motherfucking fair weather fans that are, like, this guy is supposed to be the equivalent of Russia. Like, imagine in the Olympics and one of our guy, Michael Phelps, all of a sudden is getting beat by an Australian guy, and all of a sudden we just start rooting for the Australian guy because he's beating our guy. Like, what is that, dude? Like, no loyalty.
Oh,
to your own-
no, what a terrible analogy.
Yeah,
He's
you can't
convincing. If I
compare
can
a
change, then
swim
you
meet
can change. Like,
to-
it's all about the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but they don't
it's that's how walls are broken down.
No,
You
I
can
get
believe
that,
in
but
me
the
too.
whole crowd yelling Rocky, like, I don't know. I think it's a little too
Yeah,
much.
but the whole time there was two guys killing each other. But it was better than 20 million.
20 million.
And
20
then
million.
and then there's two other concussion protocol things that I thought were just absolutely terrible. So at the end of the first round with Apollo, he's clearly dazed. He doesn't know where he's looking at, and it's just like, like, oh, hey, let's just keep the fight going, right? And there's another one. Rocky asks, like, what round is it? And it's like, it's the last round, and it's like if you're boxing,
You're wanting to edit on boxing technicalities. These are
Yeah.
really stretches.
I mean, if we're
Stretches
being real
here.
here, Rocky would have been
Stretches.
dead in the first rounds after taking so
again,
many
I just-
He
punches.
would have been dead in Rocky 2.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not a necessary line. And again, I think it just doesn't hold up well today when it's like, clearly Rocky has brain damage in the middle of the fight. He doesn't know what round it is. And of course he has brain damage, but then he gets cured in Rocky 6. So it's awesome.
I'm glad you're not eligible for points because
Yeah.
this
All
is
right,
an awful
so-
take.
So for this point, I'm gonna give Jake the point because I agree.
What?
It is terrible. He's just not a good actor, unfortunately. And then his friend actors are just as bad. And so I'm all for any solution that just cuts them completely out the movie, because
So you think we are nerds?
they literally don't add anything to it. I agree with Pete Busch too. But the kid, I think, is worse than the robot. Like,
What about me with Apollo with like no gloves on all of a sudden? You don't agree
and
with
that's
that?
that's okay.
Yeah, that's a technicality. That's a.
Technicality. Dude.
It's okay.
Technicality, it's so blatant.
Did it ruin the movie for you like the robot and the kids did? Come on,
Absolutely.
it's not even close to the
Absolutely.
same level.
No, those kind of things
kid
don't ruin
ruins it
movies.
more than the robot. I do agree the robot's absolutely useless, but the kid's just like takes you out of it. Like, dude, stop. Like, cut away, cut back to the fight. Like, we don't need to be watching that. So, last category, guys. So our
But
score.
you didn't like the kid when he's just like, to the screen after like Rocky screams he loves you.
Yeah.
He loves you too. Oh yeah, I just love you.
Okay, so updated score, we have Pete Escarcega 4, we have Jake Fenske 4, and we have Pete Busch in the lead with 5. So this is for all the marbles here, and we're going to our last category, which is top 5 boxing movies. This is going to be interesting. I'm curious
Yeah.
to see what your lists are.
Can I ask a question first before we jump into
Oh
this?
boy.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Did you guys lump the entire franchise into one
Yes.
selection?
Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course.
Okay.
Because if not, it's all 5 Rocky movies.
Yeah.
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 Or, and maybe a Creed film.
I accept that.
Do you need another minute to?
No,
You
no,
need a
I'm good.
minute or two?
I
Okay.
got it.
Okay,
I prepared both.
there you go. Okay, I think are we starting with Pete Escarcega on this one?
Number 7 for me, Rocky 7. Number 6, Rocky 6.
Sure.
Is that right?
Am I the first one? I'll go first. Why not?
Pete Busch,
my-
did you start? You started director's chair, right?
Yeah, I think
I
Bush did.
started director's chair with Robot.
Yeah. So Pete Escarcega, you're close it out.
Yeah, robot. Yeah. Okay, so I went a little crazy, but I mean, this list is perfect. I mean, it's just a gorgeous list. Number 5, I went The Fighter. As much as I'm not a huge Mark Wahlberg fan, I thought that that Christian Bale just really just carried this film, and Mark Wahlberg just sort of kind of went along with it and did a phenomenal job. He did a great job. I thought the story was solid. I thought the movie was great. Number 4 for me is Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. I thought that movie was phenomenal. It was a beautiful story. And this was it was right before Russell Crowe just started doing weird things. Number 4 for me is starring the greatest actor of all time, Ben Foster. It's called The Survivor, about the Auschwitz guy who had to fight his way out of Auschwitz and then became a professional fighter when he actually escaped and made it to New York at one point. I think it's on HBO Max. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And Ben Foster is the greatest actor of all time. Number 2, I put the Creed franchise altogether because of the fact that the movies did something that it's really almost impossible to do when you're coming out of a monumental franchise. But now, because of Creed 3, you're starting to see a separation between Creed and Rocky. It's actually standing alone. And it's now its own franchise. I mean, when I talk about Creed, I'm not thinking about Rocky anymore. I'm thinking about Creed specifically and only. And number 1 is the Rocky franchise.
Yeah. All right, solid. Jake Fenske, what do you got?
Number 5, I got Cinderella Man. It's a great movie. One of Russell Crowe's best movies also. Number 4, The Fighter. Also, Pete, I like your picks in that 4 or 5 space.
I just want to hug you right now.
Bring it in, bud. Yeah, Christian Bale was amazing in that movie, and I thought Mark Wahlberg was really good too, and just all around solid movie.
No, it's a very good film. Yeah.
And number 3, I got the Creed franchise.
Wow, you guys included Creed. I like that, by the way. I'm kind of mad I didn't do that, but I like that.
Number 2, I got Raging Bull.
Nice.
One of the best boxing movies. One of the best movies
It
of all
hurt me
time.
not to put that there. Yeah,
I think Scorsese's best movie.
Yeah.
And of course, number 1, the Rocky franchise, because it has the most best movies in this boxing category.
By sheer numbers.
It's just sheer numbers.
Yeah.
On volume alone.
Yeah. All right, Pete Busch. Very interested to hear what you got.
I'm feeling good about this one. We'll see. All right. In number 5, I think one of the most underrated movies of all time. Thoroughly enjoy the watch if you haven't seen it. It's a movie called Diggstown. If you're not familiar with Diggstown,
Louis Gossett
Louis Gossett Jr., James Woods. It's a high stakes con man where he sets up a fight where his boxer Louis Gossett Jr. has to fight 10 men in this like southern town to win a bunch of money. You got Heather Graham's in it too. Like it's I don't know, it's a good story if you're looking for a good watch.
Jake, I think
number 5.
Either you or I have just tied Pete. Just go on, Pete. Sorry.
I actually Diggstown was. I was thinking about Diggstown.
Come on, number 5. You serious?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a fun movie that I like it because most people haven't even heard of it. Number 4, I've got The Fighter. I mean, Christian Bale and Melissa Leo won Academy Awards, so it got some nods too for being a boxing movie. dealing with some struggles, addiction, self-doubt, all that good stuff. Number 3,
Great
which hasn't been
stuff.
mentioned surprisingly, $1 Million Baby. I just
it's
love Eastwood
fucking
directing this. Good
dark.
crafted boxing scenes. Love the twist in it. Good soundtrack too. Number 2, Cinderella Man. For all the same reasons. One of the few movies I've actually cried in theater. Like it just that moment.
Mm.
Like you can see
Mhm.
what it did for him and his family.
Yeah.
Totally
And
agree
number
with that.
1, Rocky and Creed. I put Rocky and Creed in the same franchise, so
Yeah, that's fine.
same universe.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't get
Uh,
dinged for that.
So I've got a couple interesting ones that you guys don't have. So number 5, and only because I'm not in it, so I did a slash, but I did The Fighter / Hands of Stone. So Hands of Stone is what I actually wrote for number 5, but that would be my one I put. But that's Roberto Duran's story. I really like it. It's really well done. I loved hearing about the story, kind of hearing more about Roberto Duran because I've never and Anna de Armas is in it and she's super hot and she's naked in it as well. So extra point.
Okay, but
Can't go wrong with Hands.
okay.
Ali is my number 4. I thought Will Smith should have won Best Actor that year. I mean, he really kind of transformed himself, and I thought like it's really hard to play a character like that, and I thought he did a really good job. And yeah, I like that film. Number 3, Cinderella Man. Number 2, Raging Bull. I think again, like when you're talking about like how well it's shot and Scorsese, like the editing, it's a really, really well crafted film, and that's why some people actually even consider it the number 1 boxing film of all time. But if I'm gonna go with Rocky Creed franchise, I didn't separate that, so I admire both Pete and Jake for doing that. But with that, I'm gonna give the point to Jake Fenske because he included Raging Bull, and none of you guys had that. And I don't know if you guys have not even seen it. It's definitely better than Diggstown
That's definitely not true.
or what was the other one that Pete just had? That
$1 Million Baby.
$1
Million
Million
Dollar
Baby. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people like $1 Million Baby, but I'm not a fan. I love Clint Eastwood. I didn't like the story of that film. It didn't do it for me.
Raging Bull. So you like bad movies.
I
Mr.
own Raging Bull, so I've watched it a few times. I actually want to watch it again because it's Joe Pesci is so good in that one as well. I mean, that's the movie where really you're seeing Pesci and De Niro go at it, and it's really, really well done. It's that's the story about Rocky
Jake
Marciano.
LaMotta.
Oh, Jake LaMotta,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's a great, great, great film, and obviously there's no arguments here on Rocky Creed, but so Jake Fenske is going to tie it. So we have a tie here with Jake Fenske and Pete Busch. So between you two, you give maybe 3 films, and we can all come together on what we want. I know Pete Escarcega talked about if there's a comedy that you guys want to do.
Oh, okay.
I know we've done
not prepared for that question.
I just give your films. I'm just throwing out there, like, wouldn't mind having a little more.
I like comedy. Jake, what are your top 3 comedies?
Die Hard.
Airplane.
Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with Vengeance.
Yeah, let's see. Airplane. Three comedies. I'll have to jog my memory here.
Dude, in Airplane, like the line please category is gonna be just so
there's
hard.
so many lines. Yeah.
Jesus.
It's one of the most quotable movies of all time.
Airplane's probably more of a season 2 type of a film, just because it's older. I don't know how our ratings would be on that one. I kind of want a newer one than that one. I like it.
Well, forget the idea about comedy. Like, what are 3 movies that you guys would like to review?
Yeah, good call.
Well, we've been like the movies that we've reviewed is sort of in the spirit of like action films and
like
Ghostbusters.
really,
talk to me, Goose.
Really beloved action movies and
80s and early 90s classics. Yeah.
So the one I was thinking of was Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I
Yeah.
was really gonna vote with my heart, I would say Transformers, the animated movie.
No, that's not one. That one's not gonna be.
That's season
It's
9.
funny. I was just thinking a Schwarzenegger movie would be funny, or fun to do, because the original Terminator's not good enough. T2 would be fun,
No,
T2,
but I do
yeah.
like Predator.
I'd be open to Terminator 2. I know you guys love Ghostbusters too.
Yeah, we could do Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters
I
as
do
well.
Ghostbusters.
Wait, go
I
love
straight to
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters 2?
No,
Or
no,
do
no.
Ghostbusters
No,
1?
Ghostbusters. I mean
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters as well.
Somebody give me the Ghostbusters.
Gozer the Gozerian?
Not about Vigo.
Yeah,
Let's do
my
Ghostbusters.
votes. Terminator 2 or Ghostbusters are my.
Let's do Ghostbusters.
think-
'Cause that's a comedy as well.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I think you guys. I think us will crush that one. And I know how much.
So many great things. in
Yeah.
that movie.
So we'll plan for that one. I think that's a great pick for us. That's definitely our wheelhouse. And yeah, well,
And it's a comedy, so
yeah,
problem solved.
That works.
Well, thank you, everyone. Again, congrats to both Jake and Peter for winning this one. Pete Busch, Pete Escarcega, you competed, but like Drago, you fell just short. And you disappointed your country.
Yet another loss.
You're
on
basically
another
Russia in
podcast.
this equation.
yeah, Pete, you're
I don't think I've ever won.
You're
one
like
of these.
you're
I
like
think-
Russian. You're Russian Pete, and I'm American Pete. I'll take that win all day.
But I'm the co-host of this show, and I've never won like
You
one
won.
time.
You're good at not closing strong. Like you always start strong and then you suck at the end. Like again,
So,
something simple as do research, dude.
dude, I've got
I think
pages.
a request from
pages.
when we do Ghostbusters, figure out what the actual tally is out of our episodes.
Yeah, good call. I'll do a little homework on that one. Someone has to do research here, and I guess that'll be me. So
I'm
with
just gonna
that,
go work on
Figure
my
out who
talent.
Who's the editor for Rocky IV?
yeah. Thanks again, Pete Escarcega, Jake Fenske, Peter Busch. Always a pleasure. This was a fun episode, and glad we did this. And we'll see you next time. And with that, fellas, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.